Wow.
Hello, everyone. You are watching the Wise Coffee Chat Show. So, my name is Jennifer Sanchez. I'm super excited to be here with my guest and my co host today. This show is all about highlighting entrepreneurs, what they're doing. And of course, who am I? I am a real estate investor as well as the founder of the Wise Alliance Network, where we put networking events, conferences, retreats for women. We do all type of things. But of course, I'm also a mom of three beautiful girls. So I want to make sure I say that. And then I'll pass it over to my co host to introduce himself.
Hello, friends. Good to see you guys again. Sebastian Gomez here. I am the co-host for the foreseeable future. Can I say it? Should I say it? Until she gets annoyed of me and kicks me off the podcast. Well, thank you for having me here. Sebastian Gomez with KW Commercial. I'm a commercial real estate broker out in Aurora, but I do everything out in Chicagoland area. Part of the ERT commercial team. I am also the co-founder of Naperville Networking Alliance. So it's an organization out in the west suburbs. We serve everyone from Elgin, Aurora, Plainfield, all of that area, and Chicago too. So if you know anyone interested in networking out in that area and would love to come visit us and check us out, feel free to contact me via Facebook.
Yes. And if there's any issues with the audio or visual, you guys know, feel free to chime in and just share. There's some issues so that because I'm keeping track of all the comments here. So let's pass it over to our guest so he could introduce himself.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Oscar. Been an real estate investor in Chicagoland area since 2016. I'm also an entrepreneur and I own several businesses. One of them is that we offer fractional CFO and bookkeeping for construction and real estate investing.
Nice, nice. So I see comments coming in. So of course we have Mayra. She said this show is so great. She put wise. We have Sarai. She laughed. I think she laughed at your comment about kicking you off the show, which maybe he will annoy me soon, Sarai. So, and then everyone's saying visual is good, audio is good. So awesome. Thank you so guys for tuning in, and anyone else chiming in, feel free to, feel free to chat away and share what you're doing. So this is the coffee chat show. So the whole purpose is highlighting the coffee, right? That's the whole reason. Well, originally why we did it was because we would do it from home and we would jump on video and everyone
Yeah.
made their coffees at home.
Yeah.
So what were you drinking? Now it's like we're at a restaurant, so we're all drinking the same thing. So it kind of doesn't work.
Hey.
But we could talk about the restaurant and give kudos to the owner, right? You want to share about?
Yeah, for sure. So we're at my friend's breakfast restaurant, and he's pretty famous all around Chicagoland area. The name is Blueberry Hill Cafe. The owner is George. He's been a friend of us for many years. He's also a great real estate investor, and that's kind of how we got connected. But also knowing him more about the restaurant and his passion about serving breakfast in Chicagoland area that he started with his mom. So it's we're all about promoting local businesses. We're all about serving local businesses so we can rise together, right? So we love promoting business like this. Especially it's not just about the business. It's about really good home style cooking. I used to own a restaurant too, so it's always very it's a good feeling to promote another restaurant that start with family, right? They start with like, I did this with my mom, I did this with my dad, I did this with those are
nice.
very personal to me because I did a restaurant too with my mom, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that I will always want to promote. Like, so when Jennifer was like, Oscar, can we go and be on the show and pick your restaurant, right? Instead of picking a more bigger corporate restaurant, I'm like, let's go to Blueberry Hill Cafe because
Nice.
it's also one of my favorite to take my family to.
Yes.
Right, and not just about the food, but just the environment, the way they serve us, and obviously the coffee, right?
The
It's
coffee is great.
it's not just a basic
Yeah.
coffee. It's the aroma and so they have a special supplier, right? So it's everything that they do, the freshness and everything just makes sense, right? So
That does make sense because I drink straight black coffee. You guys
Yeah,
do
me
too.
too. Yeah.
And it tastes great.
Exactly.
You know, so
Yeah.
it is Wild Horse Creek. I see it right in front of us.
Yeah,
so-
I see. Right. Good caption there. Yeah,
so I mean, I think I definitely, if you guys are drinking anything, let us know if you're drinking anything. But we do have people commenting. We have Flav Carlos Ivan Arroyo. He's from the Flav podcast. Let's go, Jen. Thank you for watching. Carlos, and then Sarai Investing, he says, I'm interested. Can you tell your friend to add vegan options? She's a vegan.
okay. We'll definitely let him know.
Yeah.
So.
And then can they add spam for the Puerto Rican sandwiches?
Ooh, that's interesting. I love spam too, so I'll definitely ask him.
I've
Maybe you can
never-
bring your own spam. I don't know. That might be an
BY
option.
BYOS.
Yeah. So
Oh
he's still
my
around here somewhere,
goodness.
so we'll definitely ask him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
bring your
so-
own spam. What spam? Like, what is spam? I never.
I mean, it's a mix of everything, I think, right?
Is
It's
it-
just,
is
it
it-
just,
like a hot dog.
yeah.
Is it
right?
like-
you never really know what's in it, but I know he has some pork, yes, maybe
Right,
even,
that's
you know,
all.
so yeah.
Oh yeah, sometimes okay, that's cool. So
Yeah.
like that's good. I
Yeah,
never
it's
had
good,
it, so I
it's
don't
good,
know.
yeah.
I need to try it.
It's popular in a lot of countries. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, yeah.
Puerto Rico
Is
too.
it? Well,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
saying he loves it,
Yeah.
so he's
It's
laughing.
in Hawaii, they do spam a lot.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and in also the Filipinos, they
Yeah.
use spam a lot. So yeah.
It's actually really good fried.
Mhm.
Fried with
Oh, yeah.
rice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Never had it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Now that's gonna be my next venture.
There you
Trying
go.
spam.
yeah, we gotta find the Hawaiian restaurant,
No.
the Filipino restaurant that
There
serves
you
spam.
go,
Yeah,
there you
so
go.
there you go.
I'm gonna do that. So we have, of course, Sarai. She said we're drinking Gano Cafe. You know, so that's their coffee brand. Then Carlos said LOL, and then yes, my nutritional coffee mocha. Awesome.
There you go.
Okay.
So you were in the restaurant business,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I know we connected because we're part of the same investment group.
Yes.
Right. And we've worked together. I know I've had you, with Andrew Holmes on his podcast when I was managing his podcast. So
Yeah.
that's how we, got to know
Right.
each other.
Yeah.
So your story is you first started in the restaurant industry, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So how did that start? Like, let's go from there.
Yeah, so I've always been an entrepreneur, but growing up in an Asian family, you have to be, you're expected to be like a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, right? It's just typical, right? So I have a computer science background. I started with a big IT tech company until kind of like the entrepreneur side, kind of bite me and like, okay, I need to try something, right? So I resigned and I opened a restaurant back in 2012 with my mom. So this is why it's very special, right?
wow.
It's right. I started with my mom and we ran it. We operated for about 8 years until COVID. And you know what happened with COVID? Everything shut down. And at that point, I had to make the decision to really, what do I do next, right? Because even though if we open, it's going to be very hard because everything changes.
Yeah.
Right, all the way you do traditional business, everything changes. And for small
Yes.
business like us, it's very hard to just navigate through that, right?
Yeah.
So now the good thing is, back in 2016, I started doing real estate, and I was doing real estate for just the passive on the side, kind of building wealth on the side, and
Yeah.
try to for long term, right? For not only for me, but for my children, for everything in the future. While I have restaurant as an active income, right?
Yeah.
So that changed overnight,
Yeah.
right? When everything shut down from COVID, so I had to just switch to doing real estate full time. And at that
Yeah.
point, I remember I had several rehabs that I was thinking about just keeping them. I had to sell them. I have to tweak my business model just to survive 2020, right?
Yeah.
But to me, it's really just, as people call it, blessing in disguise, right? Because,
Yeah.
it propels me to create multiple different businesses out of real estate. And, it started from just being a landlord, to own a property management company that we also manage, some other investor in my partner's properties all around Chicagoland area, having Airbnbs, having a construction business where we rehab, not only our own property, but also help other investor and other people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then my latest ventures is being a fractional CFO and bookkeeping
Yeah.
for real estate investor and contractors, because that's what we've done for the last 7-8 years.
Right.
So it's really nothing new because we've handled our own books and we can handle them well. And now, as we connect with other investor, as we connect with other entrepreneurs, especially in construction business that offer service for home industry, they're all facing the same thing that we had, when we start business. Like, how do we get financial clarity, right?
Yeah.
A lot of us are good in doing the business. A lot of us
Yeah.
are good in helping people, fix their problem, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
construction, whether it's fixing whatever it is, plumbing and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are going home and they looking at their numbers and wondering if they made profit or if they
That's
made money.
even if they look at their numbers.
Exactly.
There's entrepreneurs that never pay attention to that stuff, right?
Yeah. And the biggest thing is they rely on their CPA or tax preparer in the next year to tell them if they made money or not in the previous year.
Wow.
Right? That's the most common thing. And I think we're on a mission to change that. Right? We're on a mission to give financial clarity to construction remodeler, right? And then also real estate investor, so that they can know their numbers, because those numbers are very, very important to decide what their next project is, to decide where do they want to take with their exit strategies, for example, and their business, right? How do they want to grow their business if you never find out if you're profitable or if you lost money until the next year?
Yeah.
The whole year has passed before you know anything.
Yep. There was something that you said, because you went to my boot camp, my first boot camp that I put together, and you said if you are not doing or planning your taxes by June, you're already behind, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, do entrepreneurs really understand that? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're always working. What is it, in their business, not on their business?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And that's that's a normal thing, because everyone start as a solopreneur, right? Everyone kind of as a small business. We are all bootstrap our business, what we call, right? We use our own resources, we use our own capital to start a business, and that's normal. However, as we grow, we also have to grow as a business owner, and that's where a lot of people have struggles, challenges, right? Because they keep working in the business as a quote unquote employee of their own business, right? Versus an owner, which means that you have to know your financials, you have to know how to lead and how to decide, and creating a system, for example, right? To make sure that everything works so that you can focus on growing the business. And one of them is knowing the financial, obviously, and that's why it's very important to know that at least quarter by quarter. Right? Because you always have to be planning. You have to be on planning mode to be proactive versus reactive. And that's what a lot of people really struggles and the challenges that we're trying to solve for people.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's great. I know you probably have some questions.
I do.
I can
So
see it.
as a solopreneur myself, and attesting to the fact that it is hard keeping track of your financials. So for all the solopreneurs out there, everyone with businesses, what is a way for them to start just understanding their books and how to get control of that?
So the number one thing is that to understand really the basic terms of money and finances, right? Because I always say money is the language of finance, and finance is the language of business, right? So if you understand money, the ins and out, right, then you understand the basic finances, which is now you translate into a profit and loss in the basic term, right? If you understand your profit and loss, then you understand how your business behave, right? So it's all stacked up, right? But in the very low to start, I would even recommend, even if you don't have a good spreadsheet or whatnot yet, start with looking at your bank account every single day, right? And even millionaires, even billionaires would say the same thing, right? You would say that's the number one thing is to look at your bank account every single day, right? To know where the money is coming in and out, right? To look at your credit card to see if there's money coming in and out before it gets big, before your business grows, before it's get overwhelming, because that's when you know what's happening, right? And so now from there, obviously the next step is how do you get better finance report, right? Once you know your money coming in and out, right? Because you always can see, if you have an income of $5,000, that's not your profit. Because you have all these expenses, you have your gas, you have your hiring subcontractors, you have all this stuff, right? That's the important thing, because people usually see only the top line, money coming in. They don't see what the money coming out until it's late.
Yeah, for sure.
So you think you're making $5,000 a month, and you don't know if you're really making $5,000 a month until some people that don't know ever, right? So they're just kind of in this cycle where you think you have money because money is coming in. However, how much money is staying?
Yeah. And I'm just curious, is that like an investor mindset? Because I know as an investor, when we have a budget, it's like, you need to stay on top of this budget and try to
Mhm.
keep it as long as possible,
Yeah.
right? Because you need to meet those numbers.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of them are budgeting. I mean, a lot of them are staying with your numbers, right?
Yeah.
But what happened is, let's put ourselves in terms of an investment project, right?
Yeah.
We all know how to underwrite. A lot of us knows how to generally underwrite the deal, right?
sure.
Like if you do a flip, if you do a rental, if you anything that you want to purchase, an asset you want to purchase, you already have these numbers in the beginning.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people are struggling, and what a lot of people fail to do, is how to keep track of this budget along the projects, right? Because at that point, they're just busy doing it,
Yeah.
right? And at the end of the day, this is where there's a lot of challenges, because one thing happen and projects get delayed, and you're paying interest if you have a hard money loan, for example,
Yeah.
and someone screwed up, and now you gotta buy more materials. Well, where is that count in the original budget, right? And how do you compensate for that? That's when
plan for like a rainy day fund.
exactly, right, yeah. And then when do you make the decision to put a stop on something and convert something so you can still make money instead of losing money, right? These are
Yeah.
the day-to-day investment decision that you have to make, right, based on looking at the numbers,
Yeah.
right? But if you don't have a spreadsheet, or if you don't have any tool to keep track of that, you don't find out until the end. And when you find out until the end, that's when you struggle to make the next move, right? It's like the
Wow.
chess pieces has been, you made the wrong move, and this is fine.
Right.
You could make one or two wrong move, but how do you compensate that? Is knowing that you make the wrong move,
Yeah.
instead of everything has been sealed, and now like there's nothing you can do but to accept that.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you say? So
Yeah.
So would you say that throughout any kind of deal, whether it's real estate investing or trying to buy a business and stuff like that, knowing that you're going through the process, but staying aware and mindful of your business at a bird's eye view at every step of the way? Yeah. How does someone take themselves out of like just being in it and working in it
Yeah.
and zoom out? Like what do you do to keep yourself on track with that?
So for me, the way we look at all the business, right? We always need someone to help us, right?
For
It's just
sure.
always like, yes, we are a solopreneur, but once we found a little bit of consistency, we should find the right help, right? And I believe a lot of people also have challenges to find that right help.
Yeah.
For me, one of the first hire, or at least help that you need to get, right, once you start growing, is a admin position, right? And that admin can then help you navigate through this daily tasks, that you need to do, that doesn't contribute to the growth of the business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just tasks that you have to do, like checking mail, checking notes, and all those stuff. Like, like a lot of times you have to pay bills, you have to pay this and that, right? Now, when you still have time, that's fine. But when you're spending all this time just paying bills, or making sure that you're turning on and off lights or service and everything, that sucks in the
That
time.
takes so much
right?
time.
So
And mental energy.
exactly,
It
right?
does.
If you just started and you only have one property, for example, that's fine,
Yeah.
because you have to learn that anyway,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
But what I also recommend people is, people has to start documenting that too, because
Yeah.
when the time comes, they can give this task to even a part-time admin, right? And it always starts from there. Instead of hiring, like, say, a salesperson right away, right? I would always recommend hire a part-time admin, right? That you can give all these tedious daily recurring tasks that will free you to grow the business first, until you can afford or budget for a salesperson or someone that can grow your business, or another full-time contractor to help you, go to different places, so you can now take multiple jobs, for example, right? And this admin person can also help you with basic data entry to show the data, right? And again, it doesn't need to be a complicated bookkeeping, right? All you need to see in the beginning is establish what is your revenue, right, for every job, because you should have invoices, right, for
Yeah.
every job, whatever the value is, right? And from there, with their help, find out what are your costs. It's as easy as that, right?
Yeah.
It's as easy as maybe even looking up at all the checks you made to your vendors, on all the credit card bills that you spent, and put that into a spreadsheet and keep track of that every single month.
Yeah.
It's plus and minus, right?
Yeah.
As the simplest base possible. Forget about pro forma, forget about, projection and all that. Exactly, right? I mean, yes, you should care about that, but really eventually, but once we just want you to not to be overwhelmed. And a lot of people
learn the language of finance.
yes, right. Learn the basic, like, and the basic, it's really the P&L that you have every month, and how much of that cash stays, which at the end of the day we call that cash flow.
Yep.
Right. Because your money coming in plus minus money coming out, right, and the money that stays, that's really your operations right there. Right. That sees how your business performance is at the end of the day. Right. And then now you can talk about budgeting for people. Now you can talk about buying a new tool, investing in a discipline system and everything, right? But I would just say, every time we talk to an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, and they feel like they need a bookkeeper, and they can't afford a bookkeeper because their business is not there yet. What I say is, like, hire a part-time admin, because this part-time admin is not going to only help you with the data entry of your books, right? It's simple spreadsheet, but also helping you with this day-to-day task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That is actually really good advice.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are gonna think of like sales, make more money. I gotta make
Exactly.
more money. But it makes sense. Like, what if you have holes in your pockets, right? If you have holes in your pockets, you're gonna just keep losing that
Correct.
money. You're gonna keep bleeding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one good thing that I've learned about investors is hold on to your money as long as possible.
Yeah. And no one cares more about the money, but you.
Yep.
Right. Really, you can hire 5-6 people, and you can pay them, but they only care about getting paid and doing the work, obviously.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're just working to pay them, and what's the point of having a business?
For sure. For
right.
sure.
So this is where it's a very thing. It's very hard thing to see, especially when we go into a client's finances, to see that they're overspending on things that could be cut down, and also when they hire, a lot of times they don't know how to manage, which is still a lot of people's problem. I'm not saying a lot of people are really good at managing. A lot of people are need help with managing, right? And that means also you should hire less and give certain responsibility to these people first. That's why people say hire slow and fire fast, right? You got to make sure you optimize and you maximize your resources first, and the budgets and everything, right?
For sure. Let me share these comments because I do see Edwin jumped on and he said spam is good fried, add no salt though. I would assume it's already salty.
It's already salty.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Maybe like no extra salt.
No extra salt. There we go. And then we have my friend Melly, who's also an investor in our community. She said, I like that planning mode. I think that's really good, the whole planning, the mindset of always be in planning mode, right?
Right.
But I don't know. That's just me.
Can I break? You still got a couple more comments? Can I break it down? That way I can understand it and maybe give them like an outline. So how you suggest is, first and foremost, if you want to get into business, get into it, right? Do it. Don't second guess it. Just do it. Number 2, while you're in it, understand your finances. Keep looking at your bank account. See what's going in. See what's going out. Cut off any unnecessary expenses, or notice the unnecessary expenses and then hold back. Document everything along the way. Be aware of what's going on, what's going in, what's going in, what's going out. And maybe you can't afford like to hire an admin at first, but at least you understand your processes and where you can fill somebody, so that once you do start producing and you do start getting that income, making sure that you know all your processes and what you can do to allocate to somebody else, what tasks you can allocate to somebody else. Hire someone, free up your time, and that allows you to, even though you're spending some money out of your pocket through your profit and all of that, you're freeing up the time, which is our number one most valuable asset, for you to go and replicate it again and replicate it again and grow it until you can get to a point where you can, like you said, hire an accountant and hire that staff and all that. So is that the natural progression, how people should take a look at when they start building a business?
I think so. I think sorry. No, I think so. I think you summarize it really on a on like, because so the good thing is the summary is like a fifth grade level,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's what we want, right? To just kind of eliminate all these technical terms,
Yeah,
jargon, and everything, right? At the end of the day, what you said is correct, right? You have to grow organically, and you have to grow the right way. You're not, not most people that started are not backed up by VC or millions and millions of dollars that that people will pour in, right? I mean, even at this point, I think some people are looking at Amazon, and Amazon still losing money. Like at this point, but they
Yeah.
can afford it because of the
Right,
because all
right,
the games is being played differently than what we play, right? And
I heard they just started profiting.
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, exactly, right?
After
And
20 years.
exactly, right? So these are the different games. So,
Yeah.
but what you're also saying is that sometimes you listen to gurus or reels or whatnot that doesn't apply to you, and you feel like,
Right.
just because I have a business and before the end of the year I got to buy a new truck. Well, how are you basing your, if you can afford a truck, right? If you don't even know your financials, right? If you don't even, that is why Jennifer
Yeah.
was saying like, okay, well, by mid-year or by quarter three, you have to know where you are at. Now if you
For
make a
sure.
good enough profit, right, this is, and you want to reduce your tax liability,
Yeah.
and you can manage it because now you know how much money or cash flow are staying, right? Now you can plan to buy additional asset. And I'm not talking even a car, right? You can buy a new tool. If you're a contractor, you can buy a new pickup truck, so you can now you have two trucks going,
Yeah.
or a business van going to two different locations, right?
Yeah.
And that investment right there not only will reduce your tax liability,
Yeah.
but generate 100% ROI, because now you can go two different places and
Right.
make twice the money,
Yes.
right? So that's what we call financial planning, right? It's not only tax planning, but also financial planning for business growth,
Yeah.
versus just buying a cyber truck just because you think you can afford it.
So
So-
what's your opinion on? What's your opinion on your first employee being a small business banker? So opening up an LLC, and obviously you have to route that money to a business professional banking. What's your opinion on getting a good professional small business banker to help you out? How does that sound?
Yeah, I think that's also important to make.
Just to start.
Yeah, just to start, I think I always encourage people, not always go to the big banks, but also look at where they're going to do a lot of business at. For example, we're at Oakland right now, right? There's a lot of credit union, there's a lot of smaller banks, there's a lot of banks that invested heavily in this area, right? If you know that, I would start making a relationship with that too. Open up a checking account, open up, talk to the local manager, talk to the, because one of the things that people miss is also how to build and grow business line of credit, right? And this is, again, like, this is more advanced talk, because when eventually when you are can show a good financial report, that's when you go back to the banker that you have a relationship with, right, to say, can I apply for some business line of credit because I do a lot of business here,
Yeah.
right? And this is the better relationship versus going through the bigger corporate bank, right? Because it's based on making impact in the neighborhood that they invested, right? So that's, I always encourage people to do that first. Credit union, just local banks. That's, regional banks. I would say, right? That's very important to make this business, as both small business.
You mind if I make a point on that too?
Wait,
And there-
hold on. I have a
okay.
question.
Yeah,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Someone is asking actually a question. So, Irina, she said those SOPs are my and my client's best friend.
Yes.
And then she wrote, at the end of the year, why?
What was the
At the end of the year.
I thought you were talking about June, but I'm not sure.
Oh, well, we're always talking about.
For the taxes.
Yeah, we're always talking about knowing your financials and your profitability before the end of the year,
Before, yeah.
right? I hope that was the question.
Yeah.
When I say, I guess if I say it at the end of the year, it just depends, but the point is, you don't want to know your financials at the end of the year or after the new year. For example, we are in 2025, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people now, they want to file their tax, right?
Yeah.
Business and personal, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, whether you have an S corp, whether you have a disregarded entity, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to let your CPA to have your CPA tells you your profitability, by March or April when you file your tax, or even
Yeah.
February while you file your tax, right? Because these are all data points that you could have used on the previous year,
Yeah.
right? So I hope that answered your question. That answered the
Oh,
question. Yeah.
she wrote, no, you said buy property at the end of the year, and I'm saying it's a bad idea tax wise.
Oh, well, again, it depends. So a lot of people, they use cost segregation, for example. And
Yeah.
I think the point of that is quarter. If you have a good financial report, right, that you keep track, quarter
Yeah.
three is when you really should see how much money, quote unquote, how much money or operation money you can spend, right?
Okay.
And part of it is not to just buy real estate, right?
Sure.
You do see a lot of investor, you do see a lot of people after quarter three will look more aggressively for properties, because when it's being done right, you can have tax strategy to reduce your tax liability, for that year before that year ends,
For sure.
right? So do I recommend that people buy property at the end of the year? No. But if for example, if you're in Chicagoland area, right, and you are a flipper, right, we all know that in the winter it's good to buy properties
Yes.
because that's when the price is the lowest.
Yeah.
So if you buy properties because you want to get good deals, then we always buy properties in the winter.
Yep.
If you want to buy properties for tax purposes, well, you better know your financial first for the quarter three, and if you can afford to buy that property for tax reduction purposes, right?
Yeah.
Because in the new year, once you put that property into service, right, you can always do cost segregation, for example, right? But again, without knowing your financial, you can't really you can't really tell. Why would
Yeah.
you want to buy a property by the end of the year,
Yeah,
right? Unless
for
you know
sure.
the exit strategy. For example, if I flip, then I want to buy properties before the end of the year because I
Sure.
need projects for the new year, right? So
We definitely do.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I know you were gonna ask a question and then
Yeah. So one point I just wanted to make about building a relationship with a small business banker, especially when you're starting out in your business, is that that'll be your first person that's on your staff, and they can guide you and give you advice on, like you said, what local incentives they have, as well as how to understand that financial language in the beginning. In the beginning. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
no, that's good. That's good. So now I know you have also. I'm just curious. So I know if anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll ask them away. But you have God as an investor. I have to ask this
Yes,
because
yes.
I'm a believer. So and I think that's what always intrigued me. I know this is your daughter's line. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
It's something that we created together with my daughter, and really my purpose is as a father is to just encourage entrepreneurship, is to encourage I think generational wealth is not in just the
Yeah.
physical assets.
Yes.
It's also in the spiritual and also in the mindset,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because as we moved on, as we pass, it is what we leave in terms of the mindset,
Right.
right? Regardless if they have a lot of properties, regardless if they don't have property, it's like how you grow and how you what I left will be passed on, for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? And so um, just the goal of doing God as an investor with my daughter is, number one is to create an entrepreneurship spirit in her, and number two is to work together to have her also know more about the Bible, and know
Yeah.
more about how to promote the kingdom, through entrepreneurship, through things that we believe in, right? The
Yeah.
conversation is very simple, because I'm an investor, and one day after service, we were talking about the parable of talents, right? Matthew
Mhm.
25. And we were like, oh, you know what, actually when God gives the talents to all these three people there, he's investing, right? Because he gave different
Yeah.
talents, he gave different
That's
ability to
good.
different people.
Yeah,
You and
yeah.
I, all of us, has different skills. I
Yeah.
have skills that you may not have. You have skills that I don't have at all, and the same thing with you, right? But all of us are entrusted with different skills that we
Yeah.
need to be a good steward of,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So that's what the investment from God is, in addition to obviously the ultimate sacrifice, which is Jesus Christ,
Of
right?
course.
But we are, in this context, God is an investor in each of our life, right? And that's how kind of like that term was was kind of coined.
I
Right.
like
And
that.
I'm like, hey, that would be cool because I'm also like a hat person. I don't like jewelry or anything like that. So I'm like, yeah, why don't you make me a hat?
Oh,
Why don't you
that's
why don't you
that's
create me a
cute,
hat so I
yeah.
can wear that, right?
Yeah.
But so we created a hat and it becomes something bigger because it become to be not only a business but also a purpose driven goal,
Yeah.
because now we're saying, well, we need to spread the word, because once people see it, people are inspired too. It opens door, it opens opportunity, it opens people to ask question,
Yeah.
right? So now it becomes bigger than us, because that's what happened when God gives you a purpose,
I do like.
right?
I love
So
that,
yeah,
and I like how you involve your kids and your family. Like your
yeah,
family, it's a whole family,
right, yeah,
business, which is
exactly,
nice. Which you said from the beginning, you started a business with your mom, so
Mhm.
you're
Yeah,
used to doing business with your family,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
How does that work?
It's
Just like
tough.
you.
It's tough, but like, and that's the thing about teaching financials too, because I let her look at the financials,
Oh,
right? I
really?
let
Okay.
her. She's actually more worried about our profitability than me, right? For me,
Your mom.
no, my
The
my daughter, right?
daughter.
Your
Because
daughter.
for me, I'm more about teaching moments, right? So really, I don't care about losing $100, for example, or $1,000, whatever, right? I do care, but I care more about the lessons being learned
Yes.
from her, like the
Okay.
struggles, the things that she has to do to keep profitability, to sell, and everything. Those are life lessons that you can't replace, right? For $1,000, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's also worried about the profitability, which is good. It
Yeah.
means that means this is doing what the purpose that is being created for, right?
Nice.
But it's tough because she has a lot of things going on, and it's a lot of times it's very hard for me to speak into her, the things that she should do, because there are just some other priorities, right? But
Of
again, this
course.
is a process.
Of
It is a process
course.
that I'm willing to go through with
Yeah.
her, as long as the expectation is that she will come up from this learning available lessons, right, regardless of where this business goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. We do have a question here. What is one of your favorite books?
Yeah. So one of my favorite books, I mean, I have several. If you're talking about business books, it's probably like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I always enjoy that,
Classic.
right? Yeah, it's classic. I even though right now, with Robert Kiyosaki, I don't necessarily agree with his view and everything, but it's a great foundational book to be open, to open your eyes to see what the possibility out there, to create a business and to separate between liabilities and asset and everything. So it's a good foundation,
For
and that's
sure.
something that I taught my daughter too, right?
Nice.
It's one of the books that we went together with my daughter when she was 13, right?
Oh, nice.
If you have children, one of the books that I recommend is Who Stole My Cheese, but the
Yeah.
kids
Who
version.
moved? Oh,
Who
okay.
moved
Yeah.
my cheese?
Who
Who
moved the
moved my
cheese? I
cheese?
read the adult version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
kids version, because it has a lot of illustration, right? So it's good for,
Oh, I didn't know they had a kids
yeah,
version.
yeah.
I know
So
the.
so it's good for my 9-year old at that time to show them, like, the illustration of, like, you have to keep reinventing yourself, you have to keep searching, never be satisfied with the jobs or the position that you're in,
Yeah.
right? So Who Moved My Cheese, the kids version. I do recommend a lot of books that me and my family can read. You know what I mean? There's also Dave Ramsey Jr., which is the foundational of budgeting, right, and encouraging children to save and run, like, do errands, and when you run errands, you'll be rewarded properly. So
Correct.
again, anything to do with financial literacy, I recommend when they're growing up, right? And it's something that I love to just kind of go over with them. Anything by Napoleon Hill,
Think and Grow Rich, or
Think and Grow
the what's
Rich.
the other one?
Yeah,
The devil. The details. Wait, what is it?
yeah.
The the
That yeah, that escapes me. Yeah.
It's
So
not the devil in the details, is
that
it?
that is Napoleon Hill, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's devil. Someone
Right.
might say it in the comment section.
Yeah.
Someone Google it for us.
Yeah. But those are the things that my staples, that I always kind of come back to, especially if people want to get into being entrepreneurs and
Yeah.
kind of growing yourself. Now, obviously, as you grow, there's other steps of books and everything that we can
Yeah.
recommend. But yeah, those are really the book that I enjoy, and playing Monopoly.
Oh, really like Monopoly?
Yeah. So
How about mindset book?
so mindset book. I mean, Think and Grow Rich is a great
It is
mindset book.
it's a
I
great
mean, it's a
mindset book.
staple,
It
right?
is very
If
good.
you haven't read that, right?
Yes.
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, The Richest Man in
That's
Babylon.
that's
Yeah.
also good. right? So those things. I also read. I try to reach a lot of spiritual books, right?
Yes.
Purpose Driven Life is one of the
Rick
things too.
Warren.
Rick
Yep.
Warren, right? So, those type of books are, to me, are mindset books,
Yes, they
right?
are.
Because especially if you're also a believer, if you believe in higher power, it makes you just know, what is your purpose and why will
Yeah.
be created here,
Yeah.
and why do you do what you do, right? Is to why that people, then that's mindset,
It is
right?
mindset. Yeah.
It's not just, the how that matters,
Yes.
right? Now, if we want to talk about, um, there's a book called Who Not How, for example, right? And that's also teach you about uh, being on the business and not in the business, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of the stuff we talk about, hiring the right people and helping you. That's
Yeah.
the who, not how, right? Because yes, as an entrepreneur, we all will find ways to do all the stuff that we're trying to do, right? We're good at that. Our
Yeah.
minds is always like, how do you solve this issue? How do you solve it? And we can do it. However, we can't solve all issues at the end if we don't find the who, right? The right people to execute those,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
that's what that book is about,
Yeah.
right? It's about, yes, you can learn how this stuff, you can learn the how, but do you really need to be doing all this stuff, right? You, at one point, you need to find the who to be able to execute so you can grow as a business, as a person, even,
Agree.
right? So yeah.
Agree. So here's my question for you, and I don't know if you had any questions, but so like, how important is mindset for you? Because well, no, for you, for you, right? Because like, investor, I mean, I know you have multiple businesses, right? Like, how important is, and I just want to share this because I want people to really understand that, like, I'm a big believer in mindset,
Oh,
personal
sure.
development, and spiritual development,
Yeah.
right? But when people lack, right, if without knowledge you shall perish, right?
Mhm.
So like, what are your thoughts on that? How important is that for you?
Oh, I mean, it's the foundation of anything that you start, right? And your mindset always evolves. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
What people need to understand is, find one thing that anchor you, which is the purpose, right?
Yes.
To start something,
The purpose.
and then just hang on onto that purpose, right? Which is, to me, that's a mindset thing too,
It
right?
is.
Find that purpose. If you want to start, like, say, an HVAC business, right? I'll just say, how does that tie to your purpose, right?
Yeah.
And your purpose is to help people not get cold, right? And
Yeah.
that's a purpose.
That is a
right?
purpose,
That's
an important
yeah,
purpose,
yeah,
for sure.
it is an important purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are passionate about, people not having a good heat and good coolness and everything in their house, feeling comfortable, right?
Yeah.
People are passionate about that, and that's why
Yeah.
they created business, right?
Yeah.
Now the
Yeah.
business will make money, but does that tie into your purpose to help people?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a mindset of saying, this what I do will do I enjoy what I do, right? Then you will get burnt out, and at the end of the day, you'll just be chasing money, which is, not,
Eventually,
eventually,
you'll get tired of it.
exactly,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. I could see
So
that.
yeah, and then your mindset can evolve. Like when I started this journey, right? All I want to do is, I'm very passionate in hospitality, for example. That's why I want to create a restaurant at that point, right? Because I want to have people, I want to give people the right type of experience in whatever I do as a person, right? I want people to feel joy. I want people to laugh. I want people to, just really have the best time in anything that I touch.
Yeah.
That's my purpose,
Right.
right? One of my purpose, right?
Yeah.
So anything that I do, that's what I always want to have people feel like, right? But then I take that from the restaurant to real estate. Right? I want to create a house, that I flip and rehab. So when people go there, especially for people who are first-time home buyers, because that's my bread and butter, right? I don't do $1 million houses, right? I always my buy box is always a house for first-time home buyer or people for people who have small families, right? Because I want that feeling of people coming in to say, oh my God, this is the house that we can live in. This is the
Right,
house that
right.
we can enjoy and
Long term.
affordable, and and we can grow in as a family,
I love that.
right? And that's part of my purpose. With that experience that people see at the right price, and at the right, just really locations and everything, right? So see how that, and that to me is mindset, right? But at the end of the day, it's knowing that purpose. What
Right.
you do your work, you put your time and effort in. What is that purpose, right? And it's more than just making money,
Yeah. Yeah. I
right? The
see
money
that.
will come,
Yeah.
right? Once you decide and understand what you want to do for other people,
Yeah.
right? It will come into fruition.
Nice. Nice.
So I do have a question. I do have a question for you. So as a serial entrepreneur, and I know a lot of people on that are watching this podcast now are, investors, someone with a business, people that are doing a lot of things. So, and I fell into this trap too. So you mentioned burnout. That's a huge thing. I understand the idea of like having a great mindset to prevent the burnout,
Yeah.
but what are some ways you can actively avoid burnout, like with things that you do in your life, things that you say, mindset wise, as well as prioritizing your time?
So that also kind of brings me to another book that I forgot. There's another book that was written by Keller Williams, I think. Uh, Keller, it's the one thing.
The one thing.
The one thing, right? That's also a great book. That's also a good mindset book, to be honest. A business good mindset book because the one thing, right?
The
Because
one thing.
the
by
one thing.
Keller Williams.
Well, by Keller, right? I forget his first name.
Gary
Gary
Keller.
Keller, right?
Ah.
He made Keller Williams, right? So yeah. So that is also a book that I enjoy, and the reason I mention is because I think people get burnt out because they keep chasing the shiny objects, and they keep trying to find out different ways to get rich quick.
Yep.
To be honest, while people who are kind of craft, who always explore how to improve their craft, right? One thing at a time is the one that will be further ahead, and they will
Yeah.
probably face very less burnout.
Right.
I think burnout is part of the business.
For sure.
It's just do you feel burnout every single day or how often, right? And
Yeah.
I see that when people find burnouts is because people trying to find a lot of different things at the
Yeah.
same time,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So they get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
and then when they get overwhelmed, I'm doing this activity, and this activity is not building the business they're supposed to do. That's when they become frustrated.
Agree.
Right.
Agree.
So I always tell people when you start, like for me, for example, in my journey, right, I started a restaurant. I didn't really do real estate full time until the restaurant kind of died down, and then
Yeah.
even from there, I didn't build 3 businesses overnight. Right,
Yeah.
all of these businesses that I built is over 8
Right.
years of time,
Of
right?
course.
And so
And
you know
your businesses are verticals too. Of what you do
exactly,
already.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing, right? And some people wanting to go to from single family residence to commercial right away,
Right.
and then from there they want to move to self storage, and then from there they want to move to different things, right? And there's just and there's a lot of stretching going
Mhm.
on, right? Before you even master the craft of growing a single family residence business,
Right.
for example, right? In whatever you do, and it doesn't matter if you're a flipper, doesn't matter if you're like a landlord, right? Find a way to understand and grow the business first,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, when you want to grow, there will be time and place where it will grow organically, when the
Yeah.
opportunities will find when you are well equipped, right? Either with team or finances or foundation to be able to grow,
Yeah.
right? And that point, it'll be much better growth versus just taking everything,
Right.
in your path,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
I like what you said earlier. It's like it's mission driven, right? So even if it's not like, and that's one thing I've noticed, investors don't really say, like you're saying, like, I want to provide a house, I want to provide hospitality, I want to cater to this family. Like,
Yeah.
this is still a mission and a purpose.
yes,
So I think bottom line is when you find your purpose and really identify what your purpose is, everything just makes sense.
Yeah.
And when you do reach points of burnt out, then you're like, but I know the purpose, so you
Exactly.
won't give up. It doesn't just go away.
yeah,
Because if it wasn't like something that really was a part of your passion, I think you'd give it up. You
Mhm.
know, like, because like, and you guys know I've put on retreats, right? And I
Yeah.
remember one year I put a retreat and I was out for a whole month after that retreat because I was on the go for 3 days.
right,
You
right,
know,
yeah, mhm.
every day. And I just remember, like, I keep telling, like, I'm funny because some of my team members will hear me and be like, I don't know why I do this. You know, I don't know why I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
this. Like,
yeah.
I regret doing this. You know, I'll
Yeah.
complain. But here we are next year.
Yep.
There you are doing
Right.
it all over again
Right,
because
yeah.
you know the purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So and that's something even like marathon runners, right?
Mhm.
Like, you don't know why you put yourself through this trauma in your body,
Yeah.
but you're going to do it all over again
Mhm.
for whatever crazy reason you do
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah. for sure. No, it's very important, and all of these are mindsets, right?
It's
All of
mindset.
these, like you go on this journey every day to evolve the mindset,
Yeah.
right? Your mindset from 3 years ago to or 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, when you start, should be different, should be
Absolutely.
evolving, and that's how we grow,
Right.
right? And
Right.
especially as entrepreneur, right?
Absolutely.
Your dreams get bigger, your visions get bigger, but they
Yeah.
need to be growing at a good pace,
Yeah.
right? You can't go from zero to whatever it is that you want to do in 3 months, right? And
It's
it's
unrealistic.
just
Yeah.
it's not
Takes time.
realistic, right? And you're killing yourself anyway
Right.
because you're putting a lot of burden, a lot of
Right.
pressure, and that's where the burnout comes in, because that disappointment in yourself, right? That why can't I do this, and the judgment that you give yourself,
Yeah.
right? So, and that's why going back to having purpose, having goals,
Yeah.
right? And measuring yourself, because it's you versus you, to be honest.
Always.
It's
Yeah.
it's like
At the end
you
of
you
the
don't
day.
yeah, at the end of the day, you just have to get better, and it's really your yesterday, your future is better than your yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just curious. What does your wife say?
What did my wife
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, does she like when? Because it sounds like you're always with different
Oh,
ideas,
yeah,
and you're
yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
creating something,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Love the smile already.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I have to give like a lot of credits to her, right?
Yeah.
Her name is
Yes.
Kartika, and she's
What's
always
her name
been
again?
Kartika.
Cartita.
Yeah,
Shout
and
out Cartita.
yeah, so she's always been the biggest supporter, and I mean this not to just kind of be a good husband, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's hard, right? Because to have money that goes in and out,
Mhm.
right? To see
Mhm.
the savings that we were going to do, and the sacrifice we do, right? To just see the purpose come to fruition, right?
Yeah.
But she's very supportive, and that's because I think we not only we are together in this business purpose, but we're also together in the spiritual purpose,
Wow.
right? And that's something that I think is stronger, right?
Yeah.
The faith is stronger than the feelings,
The faith is stronger than the feelings.
right?
That's
Because
Yeah.
deep.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
if it's just feeling, it'll just get destroyed
Feelings
tomorrow.
will. Yeah.
Tomorrow you'll be like, I can't take it anymore. But
Yeah.
you can say I can't take it anymore, but when the faith comes in to see the
Right.
bigger picture, that's when you survive and you prevail.
Could you
Wow.
define those two terms a bit more? Because
Yeah.
I can understand the difference between feeling and faith, but
Mhm.
could you like really send that home? Because that's a major thing.
Yeah, for
people
sure.
forget.
I'll give you the perfect example,
Yeah.
right?
That's good.
Very good.
Feelings is when tomorrow she'll see our bank account and there's $50,000 missing.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, she goes yelling at me, and she'll be like, "What the heck did you do to $50,000?" Blah blah blah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But instead of that,
Yeah.
right? If there's a good communication, and we still take good communication, right? We'll
course.
tell her like, "Hey, I'm gonna take this $50,000 because I'm gonna buy a property that I can make money and blah blah blah, and it's gonna take about 2 months, right?"
Right.
Okay.
Uh, and that's when the faith comes in, because she believes that I can do it,
Oh, okay.
right? She believes that with everything that we've gone through, right? That's a
Right.
trust and the
Yeah.
faith that that's within the purpose,
Right.
Yeah.
now, right?
Right.
So, as long as we walk into that, right, and that moves from the feeling
Mhm.
of like, oh my God, I just lost $50,000, to say that $50,000, I know Oscar's not gonna gamble it because that's a good investment for our future. That they can
Yeah.
grow, right? That's the faithfulness that
Right.
comes in, right? Believing in the purpose of the business and the purpose of God giving us this to become a better steward of our money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
hard.
it
It's
is.
it's a continuous journey, right?
It
And
is.
in a lot of marriage and relationship, that's the hardest part, right? Money and
Yes.
being a good steward is the hardest part. That's why I always want to teach my daughters and everyone around me to become a financial smart, right? To become a financial responsible
Right.
for the things that God has given them. Whether it's
Yeah.
whether my daughter gets $15 an hour for babysitting versus making $150,000 on a flip,
Right.
right? Where does the money go after that? Is what's important.
That is important.
Yeah.
How much? And I'm just curious, right? Because you do the accounting. I've always heard that you should put 20% back of your profit back into marketing. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on that?
So it depends on that cash flow that you have, right? Now, technically, you do have some certain types of percentage that you need to allocate, right? Well, and you need to follow that. 20%, I would say at this point it depends on the business, and it depends on if we see a good return of investment on that, right?
Sure.
Um, in general, we need to look at the. This is where having a good financial report, right, in the
Yeah.
past will help, because how are you basing that 20%? Right? Are you just basing that on a general someone out there,
Yeah.
telling you that if you own an HVAC business or if you're an investor, then 20% should go out again as marketing?
Yeah.
Or are you smart enough to look at your previous data to say, hey, let's say a wholesaler. We have a lot of wholesaler, right? And that's where, like, okay, I need to spend 20% on marketing. I need
For
to spend,
sure. That makes sense.
$1,000 every month on buying lists. I
Right.
need to spend $1,000 on VAs to cold call and everything. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like being told all over by different sources
Yeah.
on the internet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But until you can see your own number
Yeah.
and you look at your KPI and you look at your ROI, it's really you who determine what that number is.
And-
Now,
yeah.
is the percentage important? Yes.
Yeah.
But that percentage doesn't necessarily need to be 20%.
Okay.
Or that percentage could be 5% on one month,
Mhm.
10% on different months, because in, let's say, Chicagoland area, right? The best time again to buy properties or to market for properties off market is usually during the cold times right now, right? So maybe if you look at your numbers, you want to ramp up your marketing. So 20% might be a little bit small, to be honest, right? You might have to be like that 30%.
Yeah.
But now you can dial it down when it is summer, when no one's selling. And now
For
it
sure.
could be like 5%.
For sure. For sure.
But you won't know that number until you see the effectiveness, right? The lead that you get and the deals
For
that you
sure.
get from there. Like
For
how many
sure.
house that you get that you can sell.
For sure. For
So-
sure. I like that. And I have Trinidad, who's also in the group. He said, "God, Oscar, that's awesome."
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, and then of course, Melly, she said, "Such great information."
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So stop just, putting things into a bracket or a percentage until you know your own numbers. That's basically what I'm saying.
Know your
Right.
numbers, basically.
Know
Bottom
your
line,
numbers.
bottom
Yeah.
line.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because, your numbers is what matters. Right. You will make mistakes.
For
But if you
sure.
don't know your numbers every month, right, that's where the mistakes can go snowball, and
Yeah.
it could be disaster,
For sure.
right? So, but if you know your numbers at least every month, you can be a proactive
Right.
and change and tweak certain things every single month.
Yeah.
Even
for
it is
sure.
smallest part. Even like, okay, well, let me try the different zip code. Well,
For
let me try
sure.
to market to this zip code for customer. Maybe the ROI is going to be bigger,
Yeah.
right?
For sure. For
yeah.
sure. We have also Millet. He said this is very useful information. He's also part of Mastery.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing. And he has a HVAC company.
oh yeah, for sure. That's our bread and butter. That's we help a lot of. I think. No, this is me predicting, right? And again, it's because of the numbers that I see, economy and everything.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a white collar recession.
Okay.
And when I say that, that means like this high paying job, tech and everything. You're already seeing it because of the technology advances, because of the remote work and everything. AI, whatever it is, it's all going to come in together at the same
Yeah.
time this year, right? But what is going to survive and thrive is blue collar businesses,
Mhm.
because
Yes.
there's not a lot of well, there are technological advances, but it only helps them to propel.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
We still need to have service business,
Yes.
service industry to come into houses, to do business, to help people, to
Yeah.
to physically help other people,
Yeah.
versus technology, right? The
Yeah.
technology advance is going to unfortunately kill some of these white collar businesses, or or people that is reliant on work from home and coding and all of this
Right.
stuff, right? So now, I mean, there are some really just also high end paying job like surgeon and everything that's going to survive, obviously,
sure.
right? But these are highly technical,
Yeah.
right? If you
specialized.
exactly, right? So I think that's coming, right? So if you're a a service provider,
Yeah.
right? A service industry, HVAC, furnace, plumber, electrician,
Yeah.
rehabber, remodeler,
Right,
right?
right.
These are the jobs going to thrive.
Right.
I think. And if you don't know your financial yet, or if you don't have a good way of tracking this, you have
Yeah.
to start now,
Of course.
because otherwise you will miss all these opportunities that come in. Because when things comes, when people will yell recession, depression, whatever it is that's going to say,
Yeah.
all that matters is your numbers.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Don't,
for sure.
That's all that matters,
For
right?
sure.
Don't even like that's all that matters, right? If you're still doing well, forget about all those stuff. You don't care, Like people can yell, recession, right? But if you have the your customer dialed in, if you have the income coming in, well,
Sure.
just keep continuing that, and that's when you can say, I'm going to do more marketing here when people
Yeah.
are running away,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna even invest in this because I know my numbers, and I
Yeah.
think that's great numbers, and I have the finances and the ability to capture this opportunity,
Yeah. That's good.
right?
That's
So
good.
yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No, no.
No. Okay, so we have a question here. We have a couple questions
Yeah.
actually. When is the best time to change a business structure for tax benefits?
Okay, so it depends. I'm guessing he's talking about business structures, meaning like from
LLC maybe to S corp or C
well,
corp?
yeah. I mean, in general, you create an LLC,
For
but the
sure.
way the IRS treats that LLC is different. When you create an LLC, usually you do like a what we call a pass through or disregarded entity,
Yeah.
right? That means like in front of IRS, you don't need to file a tax return. You're not an entity in front of the IRS, right? For tax purposes only. The LLC is created for asset protection, right? For
Right.
separating your personal,
Personal from
and business. So like
Sure.
if your business was being sued or something, and there's liability, that liability sticks there. That's why it's limited liability,
Yeah.
right? That's just when you create an LLC, it's just asset protection.
Yeah.
What matters is when you LLC start making money,
Yeah.
right? But also how much before you change that business structure, right?
Yeah.
My recommendation from what I've seen and talked to other CPAs and tax strategies, right? When you start making at least 80,000, 90,000, $100,000 profit, not
Profit.
revenue, right?
Profit.
That's when you need to change or consider changing the LLC taxation into an S corp or a C corp. Now
Okay.
again, that's a more complicated or more long technical, depending on the tax return and everything
Right.
like that, right? But in
Yeah.
general, converting it into an S corp could benefits you from paying self-employment into savings a lot of money. Now you do have to file tax return now, and it's going to have some costs. You're going to have some compliance things to do, which is going to cost more,
Yeah.
right? But the savings outweigh the costs at that point
Yeah.
because you can make 80, 90,000, $100,000 profit. That's why
Yeah.
our bread and butter, we work with a lot of people in the industry that's making about $30 to $40,000 a month in revenue,
Yeah.
right? They're bringing home this because again, revenue is top line, right?
Right.
Because but you bringing in enough so we can help you plan,
Yeah.
right? It's different than if you're just starting and you're trying to get consistent in $10,000 to $20,000 revenue. We're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Then you still need to grow. You still need to keep going. But I think the growth and the tax planning and everything comes when you already have like 40, $50,000 and the profit is more than 70, 80, $90,000,
Yeah.
right, in the business that we can do a lot of stuff in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's one. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then another question, Oscar, do you do marketing?
Um, I so we always do marketing. Do I do marketing for other people?
Service.
Yes and no. I have a partner, right? I have a partner that we collaborate together and we do marketing. For example, we help. Um, again, we focus on construction business, right?
Mhm.
So my partner is great at finding leads for blue collar business, right? And that's our specialty, kind of the partnership, right?
Oh.
Because I came to him and be like, well, how do I get to this target market, right? Because that's
Yeah.
that's what's important,
Yeah.
right? To reach your target market, right? And
Absolutely.
he devised a way through texting, through lead generation, through getting the lists and everything.
Right.
Because list is not only created to get houses, right? So a lot of people like wholesaling, like you think that you can only get lists for houses, right? There's so many people that can generate leads for businesses, right? But you want to be careful because a lot of these different businesses too, they will spend your money and not getting
Right.
any ROI, right?
Right.
So we devise a way to be able to be responsible right? To be able
Okay.
to guarantee even the leads,
Yeah.
right? So it's something that we are kind of trying out too. Not saying we can take clients or whatnot, but if you're interested, come talk to us.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a blue collar service business, right? Because that's what we
Yeah.
want to focus
That's
on.
what
Like
you're
I said, that's what
focusing
we
on.
that's our purpose,
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
because we're not gonna say, oh, I can take your e-commerce, because e-commerce is totally different,
Yep.
right? So like when you said, like, do you take a lot of accounting or bookkeeping for other businesses? Yes and no, right?
Right.
We, for a lot of blue collar, for a lot of service business, we can help, right? Because we take care of a lot of like cleaning businesses, HVAC, roofing, all of these businesses we take care of. But like e-commerce, we don't, because e-commerce is just a different business. We don't, it's outside our purpose, and it's
Yeah.
outside our kind of like our uh, niche, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have well, Miles said understood, thank you. And then Trinidad said, how can we connect? So how can you connect? I guess this is a good segue into, like, if someone wants to reach out to you, how do they reach out
Yeah.
to you?
So the easiest way is to connect through my Facebook, right? You can see, yeah, Profit with Oscar. That's always something that's easier, because I have a really long last name and no one ever spell it right. So even if I spell it right now, it'll be like people I forget, right? So I go by Profit with Oscar on the internet, right? So I have an Instagram. It's pretty consistent,
Yeah.
right? Instagram, even Facebook, you can find that out.
It's at Profit with
Yeah,
Oscar.
correct, right? So, and then also KPI Advisors.co. That's our main website, right? And again, just to go back on our purpose in creating this firm, this KPI Advisors,
Yeah.
our 5-year goal, right? This is our 5-year goal, is to create 100 millionaires with the net worth of $1 million.
Wow.
And that's not just assets, right? That's like real cash,
Okay.
that is liquidable, and then pretty liquid, right?
Nice.
I want to help them get that to that point,
Nice.
right? Regardless of what assets they have. You can have $10 million of assets, but that's not $1 million, right? When
Yeah.
there's
Right.
this liability
Right.
attached to it. You know
Right.
that, right?
Right.
We all know that.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I want to help you in your journey of active income and passive income, so that you can see at least $1 million in your bank account,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's the
good.
true net worth to us.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, and at that point, you probably, you can probably argue that you're worth $10 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But do you have $1 million in your account, right?
Where do
That's
we
what we
go?
care about. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really our goal, and this is our mission.
Right.
So everything that we do is to provide the data, provide the more than just bookkeeping, the fractional CFO that we do, right?
Yeah.
How do you increase your profit margin? How do you save? How do you increase your operation? How do you get better leads so you can grow? And how
Yeah.
do you hire better people? How do you, like all of this stuff? And it's a journey. That's why I say 5 years.
Right,
Like you
right,
can't have that in,
right,
like,
right.
if you tell me I want to get that in a year, I say no, unless you already have $1 million.
Yeah.
Unless you already have a business that's making $5 million revenue.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
Most
for
businesses
sure.
that we work with, usually they're under 5 million,
Yeah.
right? Because
yeah.
they want to grow,
Yeah.
right? But they also have consistency,
Yeah.
and they want to get out of the day to day, right? And we can help them. We can help with hiring, we can help with HR, because that's operational, and a lot of
Yeah.
people struggles in the beginning with operational.
Yeah, operations
Yeah,
and strategy,
so-
for sure, for sure. So I did share that. So if you guys are trying to reach out to him, right there is the website, kpiadvisors.co, or you could find him on Instagram, Profit with Oscar. So
All right.
do you have any final, Sebastian, do you have any questions or any?
No more questions.
No more questions?
Pretty-
You're good. Do you have any final comments, Oscar?
I mean, no. I mean, it's just kind of like, we're in a good time of the year here to plan still,
Of
right?
course,
I mean,
yeah.
before you know it, first quarter is gonna be gone.
Yeah.
I always tell people,
Literally.
if there's anything that you get today, right, is that the war of the business, right, is in your 3 to 5 years goal. The battle is won every 13 weeks, right? And that's quarter,
Yeah.
right? 14 weeks, right? That's your battle every single quarter. That's why if you don't even know if you win the battle every quarter with your financial, you'll never win the war. You'll never grow.
Never
Right.
won the war.
You'll never
Yeah.
grow, right?
Yeah.
It's the war is a long term, right? Because at the end, your war is to make sure that you meet your goals, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You beat your estimate, right?
Mhm.
That, like in 3 years where you want to go, in 5 years where you want to go.
Yeah.
That's your goal right there,
Yeah.
the long term goal. But the way you do it, the fight is in that Right.
Right,
13, 14
right.
weeks every quarter, right? So January is already over, right? Before you know it, quarter one's going to be over,
Yeah.
right? What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? Like, are you just going to be going day to day and just, trying to make sure that you have money in, but not know if your money stays, right? That's very important,
Mhm.
right? And I encourage you to, spend, stop a little bit and spend, some time looking at your financial, whether you like it or not. And
Yeah.
for some people, it's very, very scared.
Of
It's a scared
course.
thing to see where your money goes.
Where yeah, for
But
sure.
having that knowledge will help you realize what you're missing,
Absolutely. I agree with
right?
that.
And there's no one else that cares about your money than you,
Yeah, right.
right? Not
Unless
even not
unless
even your daughter.
unless they're no, unless they're spending it. That's
Yeah,
when they
they
care.
just they just
right?
care about spending. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
all they want.
Yeah,
That's all they
yeah.
want.
So
Trinidad Hero. I'll definitely DM you. We're friends on
for
Facebook.
sure, yeah,
And then he also
that's a good one right there, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
remember the faith is bigger than the feelings,
yeah,
peeps. That's such a
Yes.
that was golden. I
exactly.
love that.
Right, yeah.
I love that. So I think you guys reach out to him. I think this was a great conversation. I really appreciate
Yeah,
you coming
thank you.
out.
Yeah.
And I know we're gonna promote next week's show.
Yes. Yes. So stay tuned to next week's show. We have an amazing real estate attorney who has an amazing story. We're going to be hosting him at at the location that he chooses, I believe, in his office. But he has a powerful story as well, just like Oscar over here. So stay tuned to Aaron Vanagradis next week, real estate attorney.
Yep. So again, thank you so much, Oscar, for coming. And if you guys again find out like you guys want to go, kpiadvisors.com or I apologize, and then of course, I gotta make sure I plug the website if you guys want more information on what we do. We do masterminds and boot camps and networking events, which we'll be putting a networking event together
Yes, we
pretty
will.
soon. Oh my
Stay
gosh.
tuned. Stay
Yeah,
tuned.
so wisealliancenetwork.com. And then, of course, I got to make sure I share this for the women that are watching. No offense, men. Well, actually, let me share the one with men first. I do have a mastermind, right? This Saturday, Neighborhood Loans is letting us use their space. So every third Saturday of the month from 9 to 11, this is a business mastermind, real estate business. So make sure you guys come out to that and let me know if you're interested. I only have 10 spots. I can't do masterminds bigger than 10 spots. So like make sure you secure a spot because I don't want no more than 10 people there actually. And then of course I do have, this is for the ladies, a 3-day self-love challenge. So I'm big on mindset. I'm big on development. So I'm putting a challenge together for the ladies. It's in my private Facebook group, the Unshakable Faith-Filled and Purpose-Driven Community. So make sure that you guys reach out to me if you guys want to sign up to that challenge, especially because it's February. It's the love month, right?
Self-love.
There's even
Yeah.
self-love. There's hearts on the wall. So like right there. All right. So thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you,
Yeah,
Oscar.
yeah,
Thank you,
Appreciate
Sebastian,
that,
for
yeah.
being co-host. And thank you everyone for you guys watching and tuning in every week. We appreciate you guys. God bless.